Hello YouTube, this is Leon, and welcome back to Beneath the Cards. In case you missed the first episode, Beneath the Cards is an Astronomica miniseries, not made by Aether himself, that looks at the overarching lore surrounding the Astronomica universe. In today's video, we're going to be picking up where we left off in episode 1, so if you haven't seen that, I would highly recommend giving that a watch first. You can find a link to episode 1 on screen now. Real quick, I just want to say that if you aren't subscribed, please consider doing so. It really would help out both Aether and I a lot. It's free, and you can always unsubscribe if you want to. Now, without further ado, let's get right into it. The Precursor Empire, once the dominant force in the galaxy, has crumbled. Elysium has vanished, and what little remained of the Precursor race is rapidly dying off. However, on certain special worlds throughout the galaxy, intelligent life continues on. The Precursors' synthesized races, now developing primitive societies of their own, had survived the fall of the Empire. Since they were confined to their homeworlds, they remained blissfully unaware of the utter chaos and destruction happening around them. While a lot of knowledge was lost during the fall of the Precursors' empire, many of their created races were left with old fragments of their technology. Over time, they began to collect and study these relics. The ancient humans and elves tried their hardest to reverse engineer them, whereas the orcs took a more religious approach, worshipping the artifacts as sacred gifts from the beyond. Through the study of these relics, many of these races learned of Elysium, and thus, the mysterious, long-gone planet entered the consciousness of beings across the galaxy. Over the next several thousand years, these new races began to expand outward into the galaxy, just as their precursor ancestors once did countless centuries ago. Around this time, many of the races you are familiar with from the Astronomica TCG started their conquest of the stars, such as the humans, elves, Hellions, Cyclonians, Dragons, and orcs. However, many other races climbed the tech tree right alongside them, such as the dragons, Nereids, merfolk, golems, and demons. Over time, the secrets of efficient interstellar travel were unlocked, and members of these races began to take bold steps into the future. In the process, factions and alliances were formed, and many worlds were colonized. The Legion Corps formed out of an alliance between elves and humans, two races who lived in the same system. The elves lived on Proxima Centauri, while the humans made their home on Alpha Centauri. Both races valued wealth and prosperity above all else, and looked to expand their influence across the stars. Sometime in the future, a race of androids, born from the hands of men and elves, was created and later welcomed into the Legion Corps. On the other hand, the Babylon Force formed after the orcs and dragons fought each other to a standstill. After finally establishing an uneasy peace, these two races grew closer, through their reverence of the precursors as divine entities. Other races were forcefully brought into this alliance by way of colonization and religious conversion. They worship the Pantheon, a council of godlike beings, and carry out their will with religious fervor across the universe. The Eternal Wayfinders stem from an alliance between the Nereids and the merfolk, two elusive aquatic races that inhabited the magnetic wastes, a dangerous nebula at the edge of the known galaxy. Lastly, the Kakitos Council was formed out of a pact between the Cyclonians and the Hellions, after a disastrous war between the two groups left the Hellion race beaten and scattered. They share a mutual appreciation of magical knowledge and look to unlock the secrets of the universe. The stage was set. It was only a matter of time before these four factions encountered each other in the vast reaches of interstellar space. At that crucial point of first contact, anything was possible. Around 1,000 years before the formation of the Celestial Senate, the four major factions of the era started to encounter each other for the first time. As many first contacts often go, they were usually not peaceful, and encounters quickly dissolved into skirmishes, and later, full-on war. Conflicting ideologies, societal structures, and cultures, coupled with varying levels of technology and military prowess, caused this war to turn into a four-way battle of attrition that lasted centuries. Desperate to hold on to their precious territory and space lanes, these four factions stockpiled ships and weapons, preparing for an eternal state of conflict. Once again, war swept through the galaxy for hundreds of years, and with no sign of slowing down, the weakest factions began to crack under the pressure. The Eternal Wayfinders, after suffering a series of costly defeats in 216 BCS, withdrew their forces deep into the magnetic wastes, vanishing from the galactic stage indefinitely. However, despite the loss of one of its major players, the 1,000 Years' War continued on, with no end in sight. After countless years of conflict and struggle, the three remaining factions at long last sought for peace. After many months of uneasy diplomacy, a peace treaty was drafted and signed on the planet of Du, and a Celestial Senate was established. While tensions were still high, the Babylon Force, Kakitos Council, and Legion Corps were too exhausted to keep up the fight, and thus settled into a period of relative peace. Due to its central location relative to the three factions' original territory, Du was the site of many skirmishes throughout the war. As a result, its surface was scarred and razed by a deadly bioweapon known as the Crimson Burn. Thus, the capital city of Hyperius, where the Senate resides, as well as the other cities on the planet, were all sealed within energy shields known as Aegises. Du's barren landscapes served as a reminder of the faction's previous conflicts, and the importance of the Senate as a keeper of the peace. As the years go on, diplomatic and economic ties between the factions begin to strengthen, and the future of the galaxy looks bright. That is, until a mysterious entity emerges from the far side of the galaxy, disrupting the delicate peace that the factions worked so hard to create. And that's it for today. I really hope you enjoyed this episode of Beneath the Cards. If you did, leaving a like on the video would be greatly appreciated, as it really helps us out. In the next episode, we'll be finishing up our discussion of the Grand Astronomica timeline, including the events of Set 1 Elysium Expedition. Keep an eye out for that one, folks, because it's gonna be a good one. I'll catch y'all later in the next episode. Take care.